It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Saboteur Z.
The world of Street Fighter has many interesting characters. Who are your favorites? Mine are Alex and Abel.
Zangief. No question. No hesitation. No debate.
He is one of mine, too. One of mine. I have a few. But yes, Zangief is glorious.
I love how absolutely bonkers, bizarre, out of place Blanca is, and how he's become just like a big cuddly teddy bear of a goofball.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Chun-Li, first lady of video gaming.
Well, I mean, second, if Samus, but yes, I get it.
Chun-Li's been around, has been in more stuff.
I guess. I see what you mean. I know what you mean.
She has been more influential on fighting games in general than Samus has been to, well...
I wouldn't be so sure, Ian. There's a whole genre named after her game. Half name after her game.
How many more Castlevania games? You know what? We're getting lost in the debate. They're both fantastic characters. And the question is Street Fighter, and Cammy is like one of the most interesting of the combatants. I freaking love Cammy and all of her backstory and all that.
Cammy is one of my favorites too. Absolutely. Yes. I also like Juri just because I like just how unrepentantly just evil and over the top she is. She's very funny.
She's the fun kind of evil.
Yes. I like her. I mean, she's a terrible person, but that's fine. I mean, you can be a little bit of a terrible person in fiction. That's okay.
Yeah, you love to hate her, you hate to love her.
Yes. Street Fighter does a good job of showing a character's personality through their movesets, such as Ken's more in-your-face approach compared to Ryu, or how Dan shows his confidence despite his moves being very lackluster. How effective do you think movesets are in conveying a character's personality? Ah, crap, I forgot about Dan. As far as favorite characters go, Dan, come on. Dan is a hero. Dan is the hero we deserve.
Dan's just presumed. Everyone loves Dan. And if you say you don't, you're lying.
Yeah. Yes.
How effective is it? Depends on the character in the game, I guess. If you in your question right here say Ken is more in your face than Ryu, and I thought they had the same moveset, honestly. I thought they looked identical. It was just you have white Ryu and red Ryu. So
when you're looking at like the old games, yes, but in more recent games they've done a bit more to differentiate them. So
okay.
I think that might be it. You're thinking of like the older games, but yeah.
To a degree, it's my own ignorance. So maybe I'm not the best to judge. For me, I feel like it's like the taunts and the win and loss poses that tell me more about the character than the moveset itself.
Yeah, especially in the old days when they were more unique. So, yeah. But I think nowadays there's just a heck of a lot of animation and thought I think that goes in behind the characters' movesets and everything, and how that translates to their personality. So I like it. I kind of like Street Fighter's over the top personas. They're very, very good. I like that for a fighting game for sure. Fang was a character that was hated in Street Fighter V, but in 6, while not playable, was given a redesign and a more serious personality, and now people love the dude. But he was replaced by Aki, so if up to either of you, would you give an unpopular character another go, or be replaced by someone who shares their same moveset?
Either or. If it's a character that's just blah... and they just get wholesale replaced, nothing of value was really lost, except for the 3 people who champion that character, But at the same time, there's something really satisfying in taking something that didn't land the first time and then revisiting it in a way that makes everyone go, oh,
I get it.
Like you. So I see the virtues of both of them. Also, we're probably going to be doing this the entire mini, but how did I forget Rashid when we were talking favorite characters?
I don't know how you forgot Rashid.
How did I forget? I'm sitting here going, I'm naming a lot of more classic characters. I know there's some of the newer ones. Rashid. I mean, come on. His theme song's one of the best. Rashid is great.
I mean,
Love Rashid.
I mean, Bison. Even I'm like, God, why did I name Bison? I think really it's the movie version of Bison that I love the most, just because Raul Julia can just Raul Julia anything, and I'll be into it. But man,
of course.
Yeah, for sure. Dr. Light is a $100 bill in Street Fighter, and we know Dr. Light loves his Hadoukens and Shoryukens. So, with what you do know, try to somehow make Dr. Light work in the world of Street Fighter. I mean, if he's on the $100 bill, I guess that means he was like a president or important at the founding of the nation that Street Fighter takes place in, maybe?
Here you go. Street Fighter takes place in the indeterminate time between the end of Classic Mega Man and the beginning of X.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Dr. Light's, all of his good work and humanitarian efforts and the revitalization of robotics earned him a place on the $100 bill. He has sadly passed. X is in his, learning pod buried somewhere. And now the cataclysm is whatever comes from the Street Fighters beating the ever-living crap out of each other. And they kill all of each other off, and that's when the X series begins.
Sure. We'll tie it all together. Rival schools and Final Fight continue in the world of Street Fighter, but those games haven't had anything new in so long. Do both of you believe that those characters existing in Street Fighter is a good way of continuing their characters? Not that fighting games are known for much story.
Speaking of tying everything together, yes and no. Yes, in that it's nice that those characters have a home, that they aren't lost to limbo forever. You can just say they exist in the Street Fighter universe somewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll see the light of day as a DLC character or somebody who gets revitalized. No, insofar as it kind of feels like it robs the, I don't want to say the legitimacy, but the gravitas of their own titles. It isn't Final Fight, it's Final Fight, this part of Street Fighter. It's their own universes now have to take into account that they fit into Street Fighters. So I see the pros and cons of both. And if you're a super big fan of either or, I would understand you being a little salty that they're now like a subset of Street Fighter, but they also have a chance to endure and come back in some form, maybe, because they have been hitched up to the stronger franchise.
Yeah. And I guess that means Mike Hagar would have to be one of my favorite Street Fighter characters now. Because he's my favorite Final Fight character. So, I mean, yeah, he's great. He's like, he's the mayor, and he's out to kick ass. He's out to save his own daughter, God damn it. He's not going to send other guys to do it. That's the great thing. That's the great thing about him. But yeah, I kind of wish we could have their own thing going on, Bring back rival schools as a full-on series, but yeah, it's probably not likely to happen, unfortunately. Ryu can fit into any world he's in due to his simple character, always seeking strength in new worlds. So, Ian, here's one for you. How would Ryu in Dragoon go nuts?
He isn't quite sure how he got there. He was simply following the path set before him.
Yeah.
He will trust in the truth of the fight. And he's just like picking random fights with dudes and discovering new techniques of these strange peoples that he's never seen before. But darn it, the fighting spirit is true across all worlds and all people, and he will challenge them all. Everyone was wondering, who the heck is this weird round-eared Hume walking around and beating people up? How is he throwing fireballs? Don't tell me he has Dragon blood in him. How does that even work?
He's just that cool, guys. I'm sure they would find him in some sort of fighting arena somewhere.
I just imagine he kind of happens to find his way from realm to realm.
Yeah.
Varying fighting arenas and, does his thing and learns from these experiences and then somehow makes it back to the regular world and none the wiser. There is no greater explanation. There is no like great upheaval in the politics of any continuity. It's just he travels and he fights and he feels more fulfilled for it.
Kind of reminds me of dang it, what's his name? Dang it. Usagi from Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah.
He just like kind of travels between worlds and just does his own thing and then moves on. In Street Fighter 6, you can make a custom character and learn the moves of other fighters. So what would your moveset be? You can take from any fighter, only rules being 3 to 4 special moves. Your regular punches and kicks are from one character. So imagine Ryu, but he had a mix of Zangief and Chun-Li's special moves. Have fun.
I mean, that's your answer right there, more or less. I have seen some videos of people putting together these like ridiculously huge buff dudes and then mapping all of Chun-Li's stances to him.
Yeah.
So you have this dude whose musculature is clipping into each other to, be all this graceful and balanced and flip it around. And that is hilarious. I love that.
It is. Yeah, it's hysterical.
I would be tempted to make someone as absolutely small as possible, the tiniest you can possibly make your avatar, and code them direct to Zangief.
I mean, yeah.
So you have this like flea of a man just leaping into people's faces and flipping them and throwing them around. And it would fit because it's Street Fighter.
I mean, yeah, it would be perfectly fine. Nothing new. I love that one. That's a good one.
Oh, Hakan. How did I forget Hakan?
Just remembering random characters.
Like I'm thinking of,
there's so many
completely bizarro characters, and Hakan. Why is he red and blue? Who cares? He will oil himself up and he will dominate you, and it won't remotely be sexual because he's just that manly.
Maybe that makes it the most sexual of all.
I mean, I ain't gonna question it, not gonna knock it. And he's a good family man, too. He's just a cool guy.
He went home and was a good family man. He took Guile's advice. Street Fighter 6 drops the story with Gil and Alex from 3 in favor of continuing Shadaloo from 5 with JP. While it could be DLC later, do you think it was wise to not continue where 3 left off? For reference, Third Strike came out in 1999 and Street Fighter 6 is 2023, so a big old gap.
Yeah. Also, JP, super cool. I also really like that JP's just kind of like he was the finance officer for Shadaloo. And then he's like, why did Bison like all of these fighting tournaments? Well, let's throw one and find out. Hey, this is kind of fun.
That's true, yeah.
And he's basically buff Christopher Lee, which right there is the selling point.
I mean, I'm down.
And I'm not making a loose comparison. That was actually the direction for the characters. Make him sound like Christopher Lee. So, I mean...
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with Christopher Lee.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with all the various storylines and how they necessarily fit together. I got the feeling, and I could be very wrong, that Third Strike is kind of not as well accepted as some of the other Street Fighter stuff because it was so different and went in such a different direction.
Third Strike is a big fan favorite, but I think it's like a fan favorite. Like you have to be into Street Fighter.
Okay.
So I think it's kind of like that, where it's like, yes, the fans absolutely love Third Strike, but maybe more casual people aren't like really super into it.
Okay. So, I think at the very least, with what I've seen of Street Fighter 6, it seems like it is making a very concentrated effort to consolidate the narrative and strengthen it and take it in a clear direction.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I've seen of Street Fighter 6 actually felt fairly fulfilling story-wise for a fighting game. It was like, wow, they really seem to be putting a lot of effort into this and to incorporate all the various things around it. So I hesitate to think that they would just drop the Third Strike angle. I feel like that's either something they're going to follow up with in DLC stuff, or that would be what they go with in Street Fighter 7, maybe. I don't know for sure.
It'll be interesting. Maybe we'll see if they develop it further or if they switch gears completely again.
I mean, I think they touched on a little bit of it in 5, but 5 was a mess, so I don't know.
Yeah. Ryu doesn't really change as a character from his initial start. He seeks to be a better version of himself and overcome his demons by Street Fighter V, but while 6 shows that he's become a better fighter, his character truly has never changed. So what do you believe makes Ryu such a fan favorite despite how little he's changed from Street Fighter 1 all the way to Street Fighter 6?
I think that just exactly that, the stoicism and the reliability of him.
Yeah.
It's not like he's a completely stagnant character. He has some issues with the, the dark energy that Akuma has fully embraced.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah.
But, the fact that he struggles with that himself, and even if he has mostly overcome it and found that center, it is still interesting to put him against Akuma, who has embraced it and is not an evil character. He just embraces that power and what it is and uses it for himself, where Ryu denies himself that, which is a greater challenge for him personally. He could be so much stronger, but that's not how he wants to do it. It's not on his terms, which is interesting. There's the nuance there that's interesting. But the fact that he is just so even keel, and you have so many larger personalities in Street Fighter, having him be the straight man foil makes him more interesting by default. Everyone's so bombastic and bouncing off each other, and he's just like the solid rock foundation to all of it.
Yeah.
There's also something satisfying in the fact that he is someone who has grown through pure personal martial prowess, juxtaposed with Bison, who uses all of his crazy psychic energy and is just straight up evil. That kind of underdog who is driven by his own personal growth that he's achieved himself is something that you root for.
Yep. All right, final question. Based on what you do know from Street Fighter, explain how a refrigerator became a world warrior and beats the evil M. Bison. For context, in 6, refrigerators are enemies. Good luck and thank you. Sorry, Kyle. Again, I don't know why you're apologizing to me, but okay.
Well, clearly it's a well-constructed appliance.
I mean, yeah. Have you seen it? It looks great. It's been working.
Sure, you can buy any.
Go ahead.
You can buy cheaper appliances that just do their job, but if you invest in a high-end machine, it'll last you more than 10 years. It will require like zero maintenance, really. Sure, parts and repairs are going to be a little costly, but they will happen like once in a blue moon, and they beat up M. Bison.
That's the most important part right there.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some appliance issues recently, but this one dishwasher in particular, I had to replace a small part on it, but I haven't had to deal with Shadaloo since the building was built. So you get what you pay for.
Exactly. That's going to do it, I think, for this edition of the BumbleKast.
Just imagine Bison getting his jaw dislocated by a crisper drawer.
Let's do it. Yes. Beautiful.
These leftovers are from Tuesday. Anyway, thank you to Saboteur Z for sponsoring this BumbleKast Mini. If you want one of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.